We have this is Budget and Finance, Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. We're starting about an hour late. Had a thorough discussion in the meeting before us. There's a public comment period, but no one signed up tonight, so we're just going to move on to the consent calendar. So we had a couple. Item number 7 was pulled off of consent, and item number 17 was pulled off of consent. And other than that, I'm about to read through the items that are on the consent calendar. And I've got a hand from the left. Councilmember Toombs wants number 10 pulled. I'm sorry, you had told me about that one and I just forgot. I apologize. Item number 10. And just for the record, item number 12, Councilmember Syracuse, you'll have to carry that. I'm having to move myself off that one. I have to recuse myself. My wife works at Vanderbilt University School of Nursing, and so I'm taking myself off of that one. So, Councilmember Suara, what number? I apologize. 24. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read through the consent calendar. Seeing no other hands. Item number 3, 2023-2286 Johnston and Roten. Amends Resolution RS 2023-1948 to reincorporate the Nashville Voluntary Organization Active in Disaster Coalition Program details. 2023-2288 Roten, Hancock, and Welsh approves a grant from the Tennessee Administrative Office of the Courts, the Metro Davidson County Juvenile Court for the provision of interpreter translation services for parties with limited English proficiency. 2023-2289 Roten, Hancock, and Welsh approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services to the state trial courts to provide the Tennessee Certified Recovery Court Program at the Davidson County Residential Drug Court to address the needs, of nonviolent offenders. 2023-2291 by Roten authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to settle the claim of Isha Kaba against the Metropolitan National Hospital Authority in the amount of $96,919.50 with $34,000 reflecting back pay to be paid from the hospital authority's operating budget and the remaining $62,919.50 to be paid from the Judgments and Losses Fund. Item number 8, 2023-2293 Roten and Withers declares surplus and authorizes the conveyance of real property to New Level Community Development Corporation and approves the First Amendment to a grant contract for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2022-1857 between the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and New Level Community Development Corporation. 2023-2294 Roten, Hurt, Welsh, and Stiles approves a grant from the Tennessee Arts Commission to the Metropolitan Arts Commission for funding to nonprofit organizations to nurture artist organizations, and arts supporters. 2023-2296 Roten, Syracuse, and Welsh approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Board of Health to achieve sustained control and enhanced prevention to eventually eliminate tuberculosis as a public health threat in Tennessee. 2023-2297 Roten, Syracuse, and Welsh approves an agreement between the Metro Board of Health. Apologize, that's not on consent. I just discussed that. 2023-2298 Roten, Syracuse, and Hancock approves a local assistance and tribal consistency fund grant from the U.S. Department of the Treasury to the Metropolitan Board of Health to provide funding for on-call veterinary services, new x-ray equipment, and vehicles for adoption events and transport of large animals. 2023-2299 Roten, Syracuse approves an application for a port security grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Office of Emergency Management to improve the detection, deterrence, prevention, and response to hazards in the Port of Nashville. 2023-2300 Roten authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to settle the personal injury claim of Angelique and Jacob Bryant against the Metropolitan government in the amount of $122,000, and that said amount be paid from the Self-Insured Liability Fund. 2301 Toombs, Taylor, Roten, and others approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the National Department of Transportation Multimodal Infrastructure for the repair of existing pavement failures and resurfacing of 0.830 miles of Clarksville Pike, Dr. D.B. Todd Jr. Boulevard. 2023-2303 Welsh, Johnston, Roten, and others approves Amendment 2 to an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the National Department of Transportation Multimodal Infrastructure for the intersection improvements on Nolensville Pike from McNally to Natchez Court. We have a letter approved by Councilmember Welsh. 2023-2304 Roten and Pulley authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewerage Services to enter into a recycling technology pilot program with Cincineo and to accept a donation of $14,000 for hardware integration, temporary licensing, and services associated with the program. 2023-2305 Roten, Pulley, Bradford, and Hancock approves an application for a community project fund congressionally directed spending grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture to the Metropolitan Water and Sewerage Services Department to help replant Nashville's diminished tree canopy and retain all the benefits and provides. 2023-2308 Johnson, Evans, Swope, and others requests the Metro Nashville schools to use recently appropriated funding to purchase ballistic film and radios to improve school safety. And that is everything. Oh, yep, that's everything on the consent calendar. Can I get a motion? Moved, properly seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? You approve. $13 in favor. Is that what you got? 13. So those were all 13 in favor, 0 against. All right, we are moving on in the calendar. Item number 1, 2023-1891, Mendez, Roten, Withers, and Allen approves amendment number 6 to the Arch Center redevelopment plan, amendment number 1 to the Bordeaux redevelopment plan, amendment number 1 to the Casey Place redevelopment plan, amendment number 1 to the Central State redevelopment plan, amendment number 2 to the Jefferson Street redevelopment plan, amendment number 6 to the Phillips Jackson redevelopment plan, amendment number 8 to the Rutledge Hill Development Plan, and amendment number 1 to the Skyline Redevelopment Plan. Can I get a motion? Moved, properly seconded. We have 4 amendments, and Councilmember Mendez has the first 2 amendments. Proposed amendment number 1. Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized.
Thanks, Chair. There was a lengthy discussion.
Can I get a motion? Moved, properly seconded. You're on the amendment. Sorry.
Wow, thank you very much. I appreciate that. There was a lengthy discussion of all these amendments in planning and zoning, and it's not entirely the same people, but largely the same people in the room. Recommend the public watch that video if they want. What happened in planning and zoning was that the committee recommended approval of all 4 amendments, and then recommended the bill as amended to be deferred along with the public hearing till August 1st. I'm hoping that we do that here in Budget and Finance. We can talk about the topics, but basically there's discussion underway still between MDHA, me and Ms. Darby. We're having a meeting tomorrow at 11, and this path of recommend the amendments and recommend deferral to August 1 allows maximum flexibility between now and the meeting tomorrow night. So happy to discuss the merits, but would ask that all 4 amendments be recommended for approval.
Okay. Without objection, does anyone want to discuss any of these amendments, considering this is Councilmember Swar, Councilmember Swar, you're recognized on amendment number 1.
Thank you, Chair. I would just, if someone will, for those that were not in the meeting, just give a summary of what each amendment does. That's it.
Okay.
Sure.
Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Sure. And the background is that in the last council term, we passed a handful of pieces of legislation of tax and financing reform, and some of it was passed right at the end of the term and required certain things to be done this term by last summer. And that didn't happen. There was a lot of things going on in the city. It's nobody's fault. It didn't happen. And there's an effort to see whether we can take care of it at the end of this term or not. This doesn't impact the East Bank TIF district, so there's no football stadium overlay whatsoever to what we're talking about here. And there's no pending deals that are impacted if it ends up getting kicked to the next term. But if we can reach an agreement, we should. And basically what this bill does, it would amend 8 different redevelopment districts to allow TIF loans to start again in those districts. And the amendment number 1 would say for the arts district, which is the Gulch, basically, no more TIF loans. And when we did this tax increment financing study group in the end of the last term in 2019, the very diverse group representing the administration, the mayor's office, lawyers that represent TIF developers, Paulette Coleman, for affordable housing perspective, everybody pretty much agreed the Gulch doesn't need any more government money to push development. So amendment number 1 would just cut off any more TIF loans forever in the Arts Center District. And Chair, I can go through the other 3 if you want.
I think we'll just go ahead and vote on them one at a time if it's just easier that way. So all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? You approve 13 in favor. On to amendment number 2. We got a motion properly seconded. Councilmember Mendez, amendment number 2.
Amendment number 2 covers the other 7 redevelopment districts besides Arts Center, and just I guess I should back up. The legislation we passed in 2019 said that instead of redevelopment districts forever deciding once they're approved, no more council input on what the uses of TIF would be. In 2019, we agreed the legislation required that periodically the council and MDHA would have to reach an agreement, and the idea was to customize it by district. Amendment number 2 would stick the language that MDHA proposes for the new agreement on the uses of TIF into each of the 7 other plans besides Arts District. This one's still under discussion between MDHA, Mr. Arby, and me.
So seeing no other hands, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve 13 in favor, 0 against. We're on to amendment number 3. Councilmember Parker's not here, but I'm assuming Councilmember Mendez will take this. I got a motion properly seconded. Councilmember Mendez on amendment number 3.
For this one would amend the Skyline redevelopment district, and that's basically runs along in Councilman Parker's district. And number 3 would just specifically say that a grocery store would be an allowed use for TIF in that district.
Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve 13 in favor, 0 against. On to the last amendment. It's moved properly seconded. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Number 4 also moved or sponsored by Councilman Parker. Also would only apply to the Skyline plan in his district. I think it's exclusively in his district. And it would prohibit TIF being used for short-term rental buildings in the district.
So with that explanation, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve 13 in favor, 0 against. We are back on the bill as amended. Councilmember Mendez.
Move that the committee recommend deferring second reading and the public hearing till August 1st.
Move properly seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? You approve 13 in favor, 0 against. On to item number 2, Mendez, Roten, Withers, and Allen approves the activities and improvements eligible for tax increment financing in the Metropolitan Development and Housing Aging Redevelopment Districts. Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized.
Move the bill.
Moved properly seconded. Councilmember Mendez, you're on proposed amendment number 1.
Move amendment 1
Moved
with
and
an
properly
explanation.
seconded for an explanation.
All right, so the bill that we did a moment ago actually amends the lengthy redevelopment plans, and the resolution is the vehicle by which the council and MDHA would agree on the uses in any particular district. And like Amendment 1 on the bill, this Amendment 1 would make it clear that Arts Center, which is the Gulch, wouldn't have any more new TIF loans.
Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? 13 in favor, 0 against. Councilmember Toombs, you're first on the next one. You want Councilmember Mendez to go ahead and handle it, or you? Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized on amendment number 2. Move properly seconded. You're recognized.
Thank you. I'm glad you understand my means move approval. This one, the lead sponsor is Councilmember Toombs. She described earlier that in the previous committee meeting that the interest was specifically for Bordeaux, but it adds a definition for affordable housing. And this is one where I think some language will be further tweaked with the deferral. But for now, again, maximum flexibility for us and the public if the amendment gets added now.
Seeing no objection from Councilmember Toombs, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve. 13 in favor, 0 against. Councilmember 3. Councilmember 3. Proposed amendment number 3. Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized. Move properly seconded.
All right, so 3 and 4, in 3, it would add grocery stores as an allowed use in all districts, and number 4 is allowing grocery stores as a priority just in Skyline. And again, with the eye of maximum flexibility for us and the public, move approval of number 3 first, but also going to pursue number 4.
Seeing no, we have a hand. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. I'll just make the same statement I did in planning, which is that the tax abatement study and formulating committee has been talking about these same issues in the broader scope of other tax abatements that we give. And one of the other activities that has come up as a public good that we might want to consider is childcare. And so I just want to get that in people's minds as we have the time between now and when we come back to this to think about that one as well.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Mendez.
So thank you for that, and move approval on 3.
We have a movement on the amendment. Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve. 13 in favor, 0 against. Amendment number 4. Councilmember Mendez, move properly seconded. You're recognized.
Same as the last conversation, so please recommend approval of this one.
Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve. 13 in favor, 0 against. We are on the 2023-2201 as amended by the 4 amendments. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Move that the committee recommend deferral till August 1st.
It's moved, properly seconded. Renewed motion. Seeing no hands, all in favor? Opposed? You approve deferral to 8-1. 13 in favor, 0 against. All right, moving on to 2023-2292, Roten and Withers approves an intergovernment license agreement between the Metropolitan Government of the Department of Defense to enter certain property located at 1414 County Hospital Road, owned by Metro for limited military training purposes. Council member, we got moved, is properly seconded. Council member Benedict, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Just had a question, understanding what the limited military training purposes is by the Department of Defense. Could someone share that with me?
You are recognized.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Chair. These have occurred in other parts of the county. When I was a council member, they were done very frequently at Cornelia Ford Airport. I know one of the things they accentuate is helicopter ingress and egress, jumping out on those ropes, getting back in. It's been our experience that there have been occasionally noise complaints. That's been the extent of it. They've quieted that down in the past years. I don't know of the extent of any other activities, but it may include more in terms of military training.
Could you get us a list of what those would be, other than I'm very familiar with Cornelia Ford, but I'm just curious what the military activities would be.
Sure, the activities or the locations?
The activities.
Sure, if I can have until tomorrow to get that to you tomorrow morning.
Perfect,
Okay,
thank you. Thank you, Chair.
And Mr. Jameson, if you could make sure the whole committee gets a copy of that so we can, so I know this is a big issue out in my district at one point. So Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also am familiar with complaints in regards to the noise, because many of those noise were ensued during early morning, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the mornings, and that area is a heavily residential area, and I would be interested in ensuring that the military would ensure that they will not disturb the homes that are there in terms of noise, and it will be at a reasonable hour if there has to be some type of firing or some of the noise complaints that we've seen. And I think that should be part of the legislation in writing.
Thank you, Councilmember Hurt. Councilmember Van Rees, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Roden. I know that you and I have both kind of gone through this before, and I appreciate the fact that there needs to be training. There needs to be training where they can train at night, that they can come in using highways or corridors to be able to see, because they have to come in quiet, and training has to happen. However, it's not just noise; it's trauma. Depending on the neighborhoods, depending on where it's happening, depending on the time of day it's happening. We've had situations to where this has occurred at Oakwood Park on the top of the hill, and there were people hiking in the woods on a beautiful afternoon, and all of a sudden there's military helicopters trying to land on top of them. There was no notice at all in the middle of a neighborhood. I know that there's been situations in Chair Roden's district where the training exercise dispersed quite a lot of, not just a few animals, but quite a lot of both deer and birds from an area that was otherwise a protected location. And so there are a lot of, this is a really big county, and there's got to be some ways to be able to make this happen. But I think that just arbitrarily deciding a place that works without conferring with the council member where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and some sort of community engagement about the fact that it's happening, so that the community can be aware of it and be able to celebrate the opportunity to be able to be helpful for the training, as opposed to being surprised upon them. So I'll just never forget the little girl who was scared at Oakwood Park because of this. And so anything that I can do to offer clarity, I want to make sure and do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Van Rees. And yeah, Councilmember Van Rees, I forget how long ago it was it 3 or 4 years ago? And Ravenwood Park, which is opening up on July 22nd, is a new park, which is 800 acres. They were having helicopters flying there, and we were having, this was a protected area, and we were having a lot of animals fleeing the area, which is not a good thing. So it was supposed to be protected, and next thing you know, we've got military helicopters flying in there. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This is in District 1, and not too long ago, maybe a year ago-ish, also in District 1, there was a military training exercise, and the community had no notice, and they thought they were under attack. It was a very traumatizing event for the residents in the area, and I would like to avoid a similar situation. So if this has to move forward, I would like some advance notice to be given to the residents, because I got a lot of phone calls or a lot of tweets and folks trying to figure out what was going on. But yeah, so as much notice as possible, please.
Councilmember Slade, you're recognized.
I think we are having a collective experience here because this happened in District 17 about 7 years ago. And this was occurring, believe it or not, on the fairgrounds property. It's actually been about 8 years now. Same thing. We were having houses buzzed by helicopters. I don't mean like they were up, they were like 100 feet above houses. People's houses were shaking. Stuff was coming off the walls. And I remember very distinctly having a meeting with about a dozen military members about how again, to echo my colleagues, I understand that operations are necessary, but this was to Councilmember Van Rees's point, this was traumatic. I mean, people were trying to just live their lives, and all of a sudden there was a military operation occurring over their heads. I'm going to do something I hope will be supported. I'm going to move for indefinite deferral on this.
We have a motion. Was that for an indefinite deferral?
Indefinite deferral.
We have a motion for an indefinite deferral. I know we when we properly seconded. Any discussion on the indefinite deferral? Councilmember Mendez, you are recognized.
I'm really trying to have like nothing else I care about before the end of the term. But, I mean, I definitely hear everybody's comments and they're all identical. But if we were going to indefinitely defer it, I would be like to Council Member Van Reese's point, like 500 and some square miles here. Like, is there not anywhere that we can help out? So, like, I don't know. Maybe I just won't vote one way or the other on the indefinite deferral. That's not even a position.
So we are on the indefinite deferral. So Councilmember Benedict, you were next, and then Councilmember Hurt, and then I'll come to you.
Thank you,
Councilor
Chair.
Bennett, you're
So
recognized.
I guess what I'm hearing, I was going to seek a deferral until my colleague just sought one indefinitely. I guess from an order of operations things, it seems to me like a community meeting would be the way to go and engage the community, engage the neighbors so that they're aware. You know, again, this happens at Cornelia 4. We get notice of it, but the neighbors around there always wonder what's happening. There's always at least, half a dozen folks who reach out, which means that there's many more who don't reach out, who are disturbed by this or concerned about it. So to me, I think getting in front of it and engaging the community would be the next right step. And so if a deferral, however long that takes, whether it's indefinite or not, if it needs to, come together, and it sounds like this is a District 1 location, I believe it's a District 1 location, so I'd lean into that, either an at-large member or that council member preferably, hold that community meeting to determine if this is something they'd like to be.
Are you saying that you found something for Councilmember Mendez to care about for the rest of his term?
I might have. Or another district council member might want that, like from 14. No, and so I think that, engaging the community on bills or resolutions like this, I don't know what the compensation is here, what the intergovernmental agreement is for, if there's any compensation or not, but to me, the compensation we need to have is respectful engagement with the community and taking that into consideration in any movements like this. And so with that, I would seek that if it is indefinitely deferred, I would ask that any additional legislation like this come to us with that district level engagement prior to it reaching us.
Councilmember Hurt and Councilmember Allen, if you'll hold on just one second, I just want to ask the administration do we have any agreement with the federal government or with the state government for this, and is there a timeline on that, just so we know what is going on? Mr. Jameson, you're recognized.
I'm sorry, could you repeat what you just said?
I'm sorry, it might have been the same question. I was just trying to see if we have an agreement with the state government or the federal government for this to happen, and kind of what the relationship is and timeline and things like that before we move forward.
Right, we do usually get advance notice. There's no provisions for community meetings and so forth. We can certainly approach the Department of Defense with that. And I hesitate to say that this is still the case, but back in my day when they were doing it frequently at Cornelia Ford Airport, we did urge them to consider outlying areas in the 535 square miles. What they repeatedly came back and told us that it was important for their tactical training to be done in dense urban areas, unfortunately, because that's often where the urgencies can arise. We did not have luck convincing them to move out to more rural areas, but that's an old discussion, so let us take that up again, and we will get the other information regarding the other activities that are involved beyond
I guess
that.
my question is, what legal steps do we have to stop the Department of Defense from landing helicopters on, on Metro property? I mean, that's really what I'm asking.
Yeah, they have always been at least cordially providing advance notice to us, allowing us to submit these resolutions, and using that as the fulcrum for the community notice that the council member may want to disperse after that. If my recollection is correct, the activity involved in this one at County Hospital Road is not until mid-September, I think September 12th, so there may be time. September 11th and 12th, so there would be time.
I mean, this might be something that we could take up with new Congressman Green, since that's up in his area, I would think. That is his area, yeah. And then the state rep from up in that area would be council member, I think it's Bo's district. So maybe we can get them to have a conversation. We're on an indefinite deferral. Council member Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was actually going to be like Councilmember Benedict. I was going to ask for a deferral, but wanted some time limit on it so we could maybe have some amendments and some of the things that my colleagues spoke of to make sure we got it in writing, as opposed to indefinitely deferring it, because apparently it is something that needs to be done. But I don't think we need to leave it up to Congress. I think we need to go with a stance before it goes to that level.
Councilmember Sledge, you recognize.
I'm happy to revise my motion to a time certain. One meeting obviously is automatic. Two would have to be voted on in council. I don't know if there's a preference by the body, but I'm happy to revise my motion.
If we do two, what's the date we would come back on that? So it would be 8/1 when we come back on that, so we could at least, some folks, especially District 1 or council, folks that live up in that area could actually have some conversations, or some at-large council members, to find out what we can do as far as public comment, things like that. So, Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you. I would support that date certain. I'm looking here at a letter from planning that says conditions that apply to this approval. Right now it says none. That seems like a space where maybe we could go back to planning, or have a second letter from us that just lists some things about notification or whatever folks with experience would suggest.
So without objection, it looks like that Councilmember Sledge wants to defer this for 2 meetings. Seeing no properly seconded, seeing no hands, or did you want to speak, Councilmember Druffel? Okay, so we have a call for deferral for 2 meetings. Seeing no opposition, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve the deferral to 8/1. Item number 10 on your calendar, 2023-2295, Roten, Syracuse, and Hurt approves a grant contract between the Metropolitan Board of Health and Why We Can't Wait Incorporated for the provisions of violent interruption services. Council member Toombs, did you want to speak to this? We got a motion properly seconded. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. There were 2 organizations that were recommended for grants for violence interruption services, and Director Darby is going to work with me to get a meeting together with all the impacted departments to see how we can make all of that work. There's been some conflicting information, and so I'd like to move for a 1-meeting deferral so that meeting can occur.
It's moved and properly seconded. Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve for deferral for 1 meeting. Apologize. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Yes, could you share with the sponsors the updated information that you all actually come up with? Thank you.
Item 2023-2297, Roten, Syracuse, and Welsh. I'm having my name removed from this, so Councilmember Gamble, you want to run this one real quick for me if you don't mind. Councilmember Gamble, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move RS 2023-2296 for discussion.
All right, I need to read this one off. Approves an agreement between the Metro Board of Health and Vanderbilt University School of Nursing to provide clinical experience opportunities for its advanced practice nursing students. And it's been moved. You moved it, and someone properly seconded. Councilmember Gamble, I'm sorry.
Thank you. We'll open it up for discussion for Syracuse. No? No discussion. All right. So we just move for approval.
Move properly seconded. You approve, 13 in favor, 0 against. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm
All
the
in
abstention.
favor.
I'm sorry,
All in
y'all.
favor. All in favor. Can we show hands? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstention. Thank you.
Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to move on too fast. Thank you. 2023-2298 Roten, Syracuse, and Hancock approves a local assistance and tribal consistency fund grant from the U.S. Department of Treasury to the Metropolitan Board of Health to provide funding for on-call veterinarian services, new x-ray equipment, and vehicles for adoption events. It was already, I'm sorry, I was reading one that wasn't. 2023-2302 Roten, Pulley, Hancock, and Allen approves an application for charging and fueling infrastructure discretionary grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation to the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure to replace, upgrade, and install new electric vehicle charging systems at various site locations throughout Nashville. It's moved, properly seconded. Councilmember Benedict, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question for NDOT, I believe, or the administration about any potential state involvement. When I looked through the attachments on this, it looks like it's a federal grant. Obviously those, but I'm really curious. We've got a massive battery plant coming to the state. We've got electric vehicles that are made here in Middle Tennessee. And I just see it as an opportunity that I don't want to miss out on as we look at this. I think we should proceed with this as it is, but I certainly would love to see if there's things that we could get from the state to help further this so that we can get even more stations around. Thanks.
Director Alacron has come to the back table, so I'll recognize Director.
Thank you very much. We have worked with the state. They actually gave us a support letter for this particular grant, which is really great. They actually have put together, so every state got a certain amount of money through the IIJA for this type of, for EV charging and that. They had to put together a plan, which we had a chance to comment on, which we did. But really a lot of those dollars are being spent throughout the state, not so much in our urban district, but whatever grant opportunities come along that the state does offer, maybe because someone doesn't want to take it, we certainly will put our hands on it or try to put our hands onto it. So we'll apply for the grant through them. But they put together a plan that pretty much covers EV charging throughout the whole state so that people passing through would be able to charge as they're going like at their visitor centers and stuff like that. And really not much was provided within our urban area or within our county. Even though we did ask for some money from them. But if an opportunity comes up, we certainly will take advantage of it.
Thank you for that. I guess I would hope, maybe in the next term we can be, talking with our state reps and seeing what we can do to help get more of that around here. It's, significant benefits, as we all know, to EV. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Director. Seeing no other hands. Oh, apologize. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I, too, was thinking similarly, but even working with developers when they develop to ensure that they put those EV stations in because it's so much more cost-effective when they do it beforehand than to do it after the development is done. So I didn't know if we could add maybe an amendment to this or if that would have to be a separate legislation.
Director Alacron, I'll let council answer that. Oh, Director Alacron, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. That would have to be separate from this grant, but we will actually go back and have a conversation with the planning department because that would need to be pulled into theirs. So we'll follow through on that but it would be completely separate with this application. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we would definitely like to have something like that.
We do have those conversations, but I'll go back and have a further conversation with planning on it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Director. All right. Seeing no other hands. Oh, apologize, Councilmember Sledge. You threw it up there.
No, that's okay. I was trying to read through the exhibit to see if I could get my question answered. We had a few years ago, we had chargers through a contract that I guess no longer exists with parks, and I was reading through the terminology about which is kind of violent, like rip and replace on these chargers. We had a more robust EV charging network in our parks 5 years ago than we do now. I noticed that there's a couple of parks mentioned in the project abstract, but is the intention, if awarded for this application, to factor in those park locations as replacement, even though they've already been ripped?
You're recognized, sorry.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. It is looking to replace a lot of our EV infrastructure we already have in place because it's out of date. So this application does include where we have them, and it includes more, the ability to add more two parks, as well as there'll be the ability to also add to the community. So this is really allowing us to do a lot of crossing over. And so we actually reached out and worked with General Service Parks and everyone about where they would want EV charging and added them to the application.
Got it. Thank you. Oh, we get it. Thanks, Chair.
Yep. Thank you, and that's something I was going to ask about as well. Thank you, Director. Well, there's about 10 that sit on Woodland Street down there across from the juvenile court that no one can use, and they take up a lot of parking spaces, and it's kind of like they've been sitting there for 4 or 5 years now. And so it's just, they need, if they're going to be EV stations, then, oh. I apologize. Did someone want to know? You're recognized.
I was just going to share one other detail associated with our grant application. We do also look at different procurement scenarios that would include maintenance, and there is a requirement with this application to be in operation. I think it's 96% of the time. So as a condition of receiving those funds, we would not be in a situation like that again.
Thank you very much. All right. Seeing no other hands, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You approve. 13 in favor, 0 against. All right, that's everything on the consent. Moving on to bills on second reading. On consent, can I get a motion? Thanks, Bob. Properly seconded. 2023-1966, Roten and Benedict. I'm sorry, that is not on consent. It was taken off. 2023-1997, Roten, Withers, and Pulley authorizes the acquisition of certain rights-of-way easements and property rights for use by the National Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure in connection with public project described as the Estes Road at Hobbs Road intersection improvements. That is the only item on consent on second. Seeing no hands. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You approve. 13 in favor, 0 against. Moving back to the first item on second reading, 2023-1992 by Councilmember Young. I get a motion. Properly seconded. Councilmember Young, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll defer to Councilmember Murphy because she has the First Amendment.
All right, and this amends Section 2.24.230 of the Metropolitan Code for pertaining to community meetings. We got amendment number 1. It's moved, properly seconded. Councilmember Murphy, you are recognized on amendment number 1.
Thank you, Chair. So what this amendment does is somewhat put into place. I think most of y'all were here when we kind of discussed it in planning, actually, so I'm going to move kind of quickly through it. What this does is it basically puts into place an informal process that we already do a lot of times when council members are out or overwhelmed or have a lot on their plate or just have, the various reasons that we have a long to-do list that never seems to get off, that we can get a little bit of help from our friends and colleagues, and allows the vice mayor to have someone else step in and help us out if we need to hold a community meeting or get something moving and going. I'm happy to answer questions on this one. I think we can do a recommendation on it because it was deferred and will come back before you, or happy to be at the will of the committee.
Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Since planning and zoning deferred, which will create a deferred by rule tomorrow, I would suggest that we just move to defer one meeting, and we can just talk about this when it's up on second reading on July 18th. So with that, I would move to defer the bill for one meeting.
It's moved and properly seconded. Seeing no hands, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve deferral, 12 in favor, 0 against. Amendment number 2, Councilmember Mendez, moved, properly seconded.
I think we deferred the whole thing.
Okay, without objection, unless I see, that's what I was saying. Without objection, unless somebody objects, we're going to just defer the whole thing for one meeting. So without objection, you approve, 12 in favor, 0 against for deferral as amended, not amended, just 12 in favor, 0 against for deferral for one meeting. Thank you. 2023-1993 Allen Road and Pulley in Bradford amends Chapter 10.20 Waste Management and Title 16 Buildings and Construction of the Metropolitan Code to add the requirement that construction and demolition materials be diverted from landfills. Seeing any hands? Councilmember Allen, you look like you want to speak. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized. Moved and properly seconded.
I was just going to move it.
Moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Benedict, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to dig into this one, but is this just for residential or is this for commercial as well?
You are recognized at the table. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hey, Sharon Smith here, and I also have with me Jen Harmon and Alec Omens, who are more of the expert on this. But to answer the first question, this is not for residential. This is for commercial and multifamily, correct? I'm going to let Jen Harmon talk. She knows more than I do.
So this is for large commercial construction and demolition projects. So that does include some multifamily residential, but it does not touch single-family residential. It's just those large multifamily projects that would be large generators of waste.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Bennett, I turned you off. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I guess the demolition of the Titan Stadium, would this apply to that?
Yes,
I have head shaking in the back. Yes.
That was a yes, then, just to confirm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Seeing no other hands, all in favor? Any opposed? You approve. 12 in favor, 11 in favor, 0 against. On to item 24, BL2 and a 2023-1996 Roten and Benedict approves the contract between the Metropolitan Government and Mythics LLC for Oracle software licensing, training, support, and maintenance for the Department of Information Technology Services. We have a motion properly seconded. Councilmember Benedict, you are recognized.
Chair, I don't have anything on this.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I got rolling downhill. Councilmember Swoyer, I apologize. Councilmember Swoyer, you're recognized.
Just a quick question. When I was looking at the contract abstract and looking at the details of the contract, it basically said the offer that was made for the project by Mythics was $45 million. But the bill that we're passing is $70 million, and so I'm trying to figure out, did they want to do it for 45? And so I'm just trying to figure out what the description, what the difference in the number is. Discrepancy. That's the word I was looking for, and I couldn't read, and I wouldn't come to.
We have someone walking up to the back, so if you would introduce yourself for everybody, thank you. You're recognized.
Yes, Dawn Clark from ITS. As was in the memo from Keith, the total contract amount is $70 million. I'm not sure where that $45 million came from, but $70 million is the amount that was in the. This was competitively bid, so this was awarded to Mythics, and what's before the council is just the extension of the term from the standard term of 5 years to 10 years.
So typically when we put in a bid, there will be a summary, and it will list all the people that did, and it will put what the offer that they made. That's the contract abstract that I'm talking about. It's in the fiscal analysis.
We have folks looking right now, so hold on just 1 second. As soon as somebody tells me they want to speak, I will recognize them. Director Darby, you recognize.
I agree with you that the contract, the abstract in the contract has the summary of offer. Mythics Inc. was the only offer, it appears, and the evaluated cost was over $45 million, a little over $45 million. The contract abstract also indicates that the estimated contract life value is $70 million. We would have to ask the question of procurement to find out what the different. This
Yes, I would like procurement to be able to explain that because 45 to 70 is a big number for me, so.
I'll put in that request.
And I agree with that. Can we get that before tomorrow night? So we have a nod of the head that we can get that before tomorrow night so we can take a look at that. So thank you, Councilmember Sawyer, for asking that question. I appreciate it. So seeing no other hands on this, all in favor? Councilmember Benedict looked like she was grabbing a microphone, so. All right, so 11 in favor, 0 against. Councilmember Benedict, save that for tomorrow night if you would. Government operations, you got that in there, yes. So, all right. Thank you so much. That is the last item on the agenda. If I don't see any other hands, we are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.